Hey there, Kissable Misters. It's your boy B3, back with another fantastic graphic novel review. Today we're looking at Superman Doomed. This collects all the little crossover bits of Superman Doomed, so let's go ahead and get into the back of the book. It doesn't say anything. It's got some quotes from like sites that reviewed it and stuff. It says, writers Greg Pak, Charles Soule, and Scott Lobdell, with artists Tony S. Daniel, one of my favorites actually, Aaron Cooter, Ken Lashley, Scott Collins, and a League of Comics top talents present Superman Doomed, the New 52's most epic Superman event ever. Running through the pages of Action Comics, Superman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Supergirl, and Batman Superman is now collected in one volume. It doesn't tell you what the story is about, but I mean, it's Superman versus Doomsday. What else do you need, eh? Anyhow, let's go into it. Doomsday's back. Uh-oh. He has escaped the Phantom Zone. Seemingly, someone intentionally pulled him out of the Phantom Zone, and he appears to be evolving into something new. You know how Doomsday is. He dies, and then he evolves, and he seems to have become walking entropy. Just walking entropy. And everything around him like decays and burns, and there's this mist about him that just kills everything. He doesn't even have to throw a punch anymore. He's that dangerous. And towards the beginning of this, there's a part of it that's written in kind of a very dated style of comic writing, which immediately was like, ugh, okay. But we see a lot going on. You know, Superman shows up in his New 52 form. I actually kind of like the New 52 look. I can't lie. A lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't make sense for Superman to wear armor. But he doesn't just wear it for defense. I mean, he's fighting Doomsday, so, you know, armor's not the worst option right now. But also, it's Kryptonian tech, so it's his heritage. But in addition to that, it's armor that forms over his civilian clothes and stuff. It's like when the Flash uses the Speed Force to create a suit around himself. It's basically the same thing, but tech. And Superman meets this, I guess this is the New 52's version of the Eradicator, which lasts for 2 seconds and is kind of lame. He's just like this green flaming kryptonite guy, and every planet makes an Eradicator when it's that planet's natural time to die. Or something. And it looks like Superman's going to become this planet's Eradicator. Isn't that interesting? Sort of. Because Superman, in this, becomes Doomsday. Doomsday attacks, and Superman pretty quickly makes the decision to kill him. Because Doomsday, you know, is really just fucking stuff up. Lana Lang comes to help, as does Lois Lane. They both go to Smallville to help. Lois Lane is being possessed by Brainiac and controlled by him, and a lot of this is Brainiac's manipulation, but this is where the Lana Lang, John Henry Irons Steel romance kind of starts. And I think they have good chemistry in this book. I think they work pretty well together. This book kind of highlights some of the things that I don't like about New 52 Wonder Woman, by the way. This violent, battle-hungry woman who will kill any foe. She just doesn't have the compassion that I feel like Wonder Woman should. And I mean, Doomsday, you know, he's alive, but he's this empty-headed rage beast. Compassion wouldn't really do anything against Doomsday, now would it? But Superman uses pretty much all of his strength to fly Doomsday to Venus and leave him there. But Doomsday now has the ability to teleport. So he just teleports back to Smallville, and Superman is forced to kill him. And that's not a big deal. I mean, Superman and Doomsday killed each other in, you know, the original Death of Superman and stuff, but this big cloud of, like, spores erupts from Doomsday. And Superman, to keep everyone around him from being infected and killed, intentionally uses his super breath to inhale all these spores. And it's hurting him, but he can also feel himself getting angrier, getting more violent. And also, the New 52 version of Crypto is in this, and he's like this big white wolf who doesn't have a fun cape or anything. It's this edgy Crypto that I just can't get into. I want my cute little Crypto. But we do get to see Atomic Skull for a second in this, and Metallo plays a pretty decent part too, which is pretty cool because the Metallo for New 52 I actually think is pretty cool. I think it's a very interesting version of Metallo. So that was cool to see him back. But we find out that this Doomsday virus Superman inhaled is turning him into Doomsday. So, a Kryptonian under a yellow sun turning into Doomsday. You can see why that's a problem. They have to go to the Phantom Zone to try to figure out what's wrong, and, Mongol and other Kryptonians and stuff are there, and Ghost Soldier shows up, and there's, like, the Phantom King running around who looks pretty cool. I actually quite like his design. It's pretty neat. And the story's fine. We find out that this Doomsday virus is kind of based on Superman's psychology some, so he is able to fight it mentally. He can hold it at bay, but it is constantly getting stronger. But once he finds out it's psychosomatic, he's able to fight it a little bit more, but Brainiac through Lois is manipulating things. We see Superman kill this big robot guy in front of the Titans, which is a problem. There's a lot of problems. Superman, at one point, even decides to leave the planet. Like the Red Lanterns, including Red Lantern, Supergirl, try to take him on as he's leaving. And we see Wonder Woman get one of her friends to help, Hesia. But Hesia, instead of trying to heal Superman, just tries to kill him. Yeah, she seems to not be really good with all this. We see Wonder Woman remove her bracelets to go full god on him. So first up, Wonder Woman as the god of war feels weird to me. I feel like Wonder Woman is a character that should try to talk things out first, like a very compassionate character. Compassion, war. But the removal of the bracelets and letting her true power out thing, sometimes when she removes her bracelets in the New 52, I think she's depicted as like this berserker rage, which doesn't feel fitting of Wonder Woman. I kind of like it here where she glows blue and becomes more powerful. I think her removing her gauntlets, her bracelets, should really be more like Shadow the Hedgehog's limiter rings. Where, yeah, she can use her full power once it's off, but maybe she can't regulate it. Like, she's so powerful that she uses it all up really quickly or something. Like Frieza's golden form in the Resurrection F movie. Or the worse rewrite of it for the show. Anyway, as I was saying, the Red Lanterns get whooped. And this was at a time when the Red Lantern book was good, when Guy Gardner takes over the core. That's when it gets good. We see Superman flying around in space, doing some mildly interesting stuff, trying to let loose a little to get stuff out of his system. But then we also see like cyborg Superman leading an army of eldritch space walruses to planet Earth. Is that a sentence you thought you would hear today? But yeah, we see Lois go full Brainiac and manipulate Metallo into fighting Wonder Woman. And we see Superman fighting the New 52 Cyborg Superman, who I do think is an interesting Cyborg Superman, both in design and character-wise. It is revealed in this book, this is common knowledge now, and I did talk about it in my Supergirl Volume 1 review for DC Rebirth. The New 52 Cyborg Superman is Supergirl's father. Yeah, taken over by Brainiac. And we also have, the whole Justice League, Lana and Steel, and everyone's running around trying to help, right? And Wonder Woman's very forefront in this story. Their relationship, I gave it a shot. I read a lot of the Superman Wonder Woman title, the first 3 volumes at least, and I probably will finish it, to be completely honest. Their relationship is so odd to me. Superman is a protector. I've said this before in reviews, I think. His whole thing is that he wants to protect everyone around him constantly. And Wonder Woman's whole thing is kind of that she's really independent. She's a really independent character. She works on teams well and stuff. In fact, I regularly see her as the voice of reason for the Justice League. Which I think she should be, actually. But it's just so odd. I feel like she would get fed up with him constantly being protective of her. I feel like she would get fed up with him. That's how I feel about this. And their relationship just ended with him dying towards the end of the New 52 and heading into Rebirth. And they just brought an old continuity Superman that was married to Lois back. That's how their relationship ended. And it's not even a good story. But they are able to suppress the Doomsday virus. Because you see, what happens is the government basically poisons the entire atmosphere of Earth with kryptonite, which weakens Superman, but doesn't weaken Doomsday. So Doomsday is able to completely take over Clark's body. Kinda wild. The government really screwed him there. But this is all part of Lois and Brainiac's manipulations. So that's one of the reasons Superman has to leave the planet, and then he comes back to help because Brainiac's mothership shows up, and the Earth is like a speck next to it. It's huge, and they need Superman's power as well as Doomsday's power to defeat Brainiac here, because he's just manipulated the situation so perfectly. It's so overwhelming, and he's taking people's minds, but also they get rid of all the kryptonite in the atmosphere, and that makes the Phantom King stronger, so he escapes to return in the future at some point. But Super Doom, which is what they call the Doomsday Superman, shows up. They get rid of the kryptonite so that Superman has more control. And they fight. But here's the thing. Once they get rid of the kryptonite in the atmosphere, Superman's cured of Doomsday, entirely. And it's like, hey, how though? That doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't you just be back to square one? What's going on here? I guess Superman triumphs mentally, but the Doomsday infection is still in there. And then, of course, he has to tap into that infection again to defeat Brainiac. It's so odd. They act like he's cured, but he's not. It's fully played up like he's cured, and he has to unlock Doomsday in his psyche and let him out to help fight Brainiac. It's kind of odd. It doesn't really make sense. Anyway, everyone's fighting. Brainiac is kind of kicking ass. Wonder Woman goes to get the help of Mongol and others from the Phantom Zone. And we also get a Supergirl story where the kryptonite hurts her and her Red Lantern ring, I guess, leaves? Okay. I feel like I've read the comic where she actually loses it, and I just don't remember how. But this guy saves her, and she agrees. She kind of gives really just a full recap of all the Superman doomed stuff, at least from her point of view. And she agrees to help this guy and find his parents in Metropolis and whatnot. And she does, and they seem to start up a relationship. And I actually think they have an interesting amount of chemistry as well. And she gets to fight the cyborg Superman, who she does not yet know is her father. I'm not entirely sure she figures it out by the end of this either. But Brainiac is telling Superman, he's like, hey, look, if I take all these people's minds, I control how they think, I control their perception. Perception warps reality, so I can warp reality to give everyone a happy ending. I can bring my family back, I can bring your family back, I can make new families. It'll be great, Superman. It'll be great. But there's also this, like, prophecy that's, or something, that Supergirl is going to kill Super Doom and become an even stronger Super Doom, and kill Cyborg Superman and all this stuff. And much like DC Comics as a corporate entity, Brainiac underestimates Wonder Woman. For real though, DC should really give Wonder Woman a bit more of a time of day, in all honesty. So, they defeat Brainiac. He and Superman get sucked into a black hole, which should just compress them, but it teleports them. So it wasn't a black hole, it was a wormhole, but whatever, I can live with it. So Superman has to fly back to Earth, which takes a couple months. And then when he gets back, Clark Kent writes an article called Who Needs Superman Anyway? And then Lois fusses at him and tells him it's like, it's not about whether we need Superman or not. Superman needs us. And it's actually a pretty good little speech she gives Clark. I actually like it. The writing on this story kind of goes back and forth. Some of it's pretty good. Some of it's not. Most of the art is good. Most of it. I think overall, though, not a bad little Superman family crossover. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Also, while reading it, I finally realized what I never liked about New 52 Supergirl's suit. It's the boots. I hate the boots. They're ugly and they're weird. For years, I've been like, I just don't like this suit, but I couldn't pinpoint it. It's the ugly boots. That's it. And then we get like a bonus Supergirl story where Red Hood shows up and is being a dick. Now, New 52 Red Hood's look, I really don't like. The weird little mouth on his helmet is ugly. I feel like, because you know in like the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger suits, they have a little mouth just like this, but it's in like a separate silver piece. So it looks a bit more natural. On New 52 Red Hood, it looks very weird. Also, why does he wear the bat symbol? I don't know. The alien tech suit, I'm cool with that. That works for me. Totally fine. But a lot of the time when Red Hood is on the outs with the Bat family, he has a bat symbol on his chest, and that's always odd to me. When he has it and he's working with them, sure, why not? When he has it and he's not, it's odd. It's like at the beginning of Rebirth, he goes undercover and pretends to work for Black Mask, and he wears his bat symbol the whole time he's undercover. Why didn't you take it off? It's really stupid. But he and Supergirl team up to take down some alien arms dealers. It's an okay little story, I guess. It doesn't super need to be in here, to be completely honest. But we do get to see Superman and Wonder Woman return, and he gives her a Kryptonian flower that she's supposed to give cooking oil instead of water to, but she's so busy that she doesn't, and it turns into a monster. And they have a big argument, but it turns out Strife is making them argue. Whatever. Superman goes to get Swamp Thing, and I am a huge Swamp Thing fan. I am always happy to see Swamp Thing. So yeah, just a couple issues towards the end to kind of tie it all up. And then there's like a sketchbook in the back, and I really like sketchbooks in trades, but I specifically like these sketch galleries when they have blurbs that explain the artistic process, like the Mike Mignola ones and stuff in the Hellboy omnibuses. This one doesn't have that, it's just the images, which is a bit more boring, but it's not boring. So that is it for Superman Doomed. I feel like New 52 Superman gets a bad rap, and I feel like I'm partly, or or at least used to be partly part of that. Because the first time I read New 52 Superman, I wasn't really into it, and I've been rereading a lot of New 52 Superman, and it's not as bad as I remember. It's really not. I mean, it's no Rebirth Superman, that's for damn sure, but it's really not as bad as I remember. So that is it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe, check out all the cool links down below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.